Hello. Some of you may know this one. I'm a member of writingforums.com and I've put it up there regularly at Christmas for a few years. It's called Pipe Dreams. Pipe Dreams. Enjoyed cleaning things. Washing up, for example. He'd do it systematically. First he would place all the cutlery in the bottom of the bowl, then the plates, then he would turn on the hot tap and rinse the slops from the cups down the side of the bowl. By the time he'd done, the water would be running hot and he'd squeeze a drop of washing up liquid into one of the cups. After filling it with hot water and washing it round, he would then empty it into the next cup and rinse it into the bowl before standing it on the draining board. By the time he'd finished doing the cups, the bowl would be half full of hot soapy water, and he'd wash the plates. When he got to the cutlery under the plates, it had been sitting in the water long enough to be easy to clean, and he'd pick up each piece, wash it, and move it from one side of the bowl to the other. Having cleared the bowl of eating utensils, he'd turn to the cooking utensils he'd not washed as he went along. The dishwasher stood unused since she'd gone. It hurt his back emptying and filling it, and he disliked the smell from it. Besides, he didn't trust the finish it left on things. And he couldn't watch the bird table as he used it. There was little sense of satisfaction to it. There'd been considerable satisfaction that week. He'd systematically gone through the whole house. In the bathroom, he cleaned vigorously until he'd restored the porcelain to its original white, removed all traces of limescale around taps and fittings, washed the floor, scrubbing the corners where black accumulated with simple mopping, and sorted through the medicine cupboard. In the bedroom wardrobe and cupboards, his clothes and bed linen were neatly folded and stacked, with all the worn-out items and unworn gifts removed to the charity shop or the recycling bin at the local supermarket. In the living room, the carpet was hoovered, though the spiders remained in their homes around the ceiling. He only took down cobwebs when they accumulated dust. He felt he'd rather have the spiders than what they caught. The trinkets and ornaments that once cluttered the room had followed the unwanted gifts and clothing and been replaced by his ever-growing collection of books. A fire glowed in the hearth. The whole house was to his satisfaction. He'd breakfasted on cold sausages and mustard with toast, followed by toast and marmalade, and accompanied throughout by several large and inelegant mugs of tea. Now he was washing up breakfast and planning his midday meal. For his main course, he'd have some of the beef casserole he'd cooked the week before and frozen in portions. The potatoes he'd do boiled and floury. One only had to put them back on the cooker for a few seconds after draining them, then put the lid back on and shake them. You got that texture. It would mash perfectly into the gravy. Funny how she could never get her head round that. She always had to add butter or some green stuff like chives or parsley, sometimes grease and green. He preferred simple. She thought he didn't care or was being awkward and made his choices for him. Not anymore. Floury potatoes with spring greens with his main and sweet corn for a starter. He didn't go much on puddings. He'd have one of those large navel oranges. He bought a Dundee cake for his tea. Christmas cake without the bloody icing. Several slices and a large joint of pure grass and no one to complain about the smell. He finished the washing up, dried it up and put it away. The radio came on as he was finishing. He got rid of the television that had dominated the living room, echoing the senseless chatter of its previous occupant. Or was it the other way round? And he bought himself a small electric timer. It was his pleasure to sit with the Radio Times and set it up once a week, so he missed none of his favourite programmes. And this week was special. Pick of the year. In a moment, there were so many good moments. Pick of the year in a moment, sorry. There were so many good programmes on today, he'd barely have time to pick his book up or get any writing done. As he sat down in the front room with his mid-morning coffee, there came a knock on the door. Who the hell? Today? It was Joyce, Margaret's sister. As he stood there on the doormat and pondered, why did Margaret have a doormat to wipe your feet when she wouldn't wear shoes in the house? Joyce's phrases poured over him. Alone in a bare house, season of goodwill, more than enough for everyone. Come and join in the festivities. She'd finished and stood looking at him with that head on one side, slightly quizzical look that some idiot had told her looked cute 40 years ago. Fuck off and make your own family's life hell, he said, and shut the door. His only regret was he couldn't see her face through it. But hey, you can't have everything. Margaret's elbow disturbed his reverie. You missed most of that. That Arthur got what was coming to him, and it looks like the pub's going to change hands again. He looked round the living room. The Christmas tree with its baubles and tinsel, the fire screen, the 30 years of accumulated tat. His stomach moved uneasily under the weight of roast dinner and steamed pudding. Never mind, dear. Did you have a nice Christmas? Lovely, she said, pecking him on the cheek. Thank you for keeping up with loading and unloading the dishwasher for me. That was a real help. Come on, turn down the central heating. Let's get to bed. We're off to my sister's tomorrow. First time I put that up on writing forums, we used to have an Australian chap called himself the Backward Ox, and he commented that his partner was called Margaret and her sister was called Joyce, and that I had Joyce off to a T. It always illustrates what I say by what is more. You have a listen to how much I describe Joyce. I describe her attitude, but her hairdo, her face, nothing. Not what she was wearing, nothing. All right. Thank you. Good night, and keep listening.